My research involves 5 additional passages added to the 1602 quarto of Thomas Kyd's Spanish tragedy. I'm arguing that these are by William Shakespeare, and paradoxically, we're led to understand this by the fact that his spelling and handwriting produced a number of corruptions in the text. When you read the passages, they're sometimes a little rough, sometimes a little irregular, but the irregularities in them seem to be based on characteristic spellings and misspellings, we might say. Words like inch and mine spelled with a Y, which was Shakespeare's preference. Words like spotless and darkness represented with just one final S. The way that Shakespeare would have spelled words, which was a little bit different from most of his contemporaries, is represented throughout the additional passages. This comes from the 3rd additional passage, when Hieronymo, a grieving father, thinks about how special his murdered son Horatio was. Oh, but my Horatio grew out of reach of these insatiate humors. He loved his loving parents. He was my comfort and his mother's joy, the very arm that did hold up our house. Our hopes were stored up in him. None but a damned murderer could hate him. He had not seen the back of 19 year when his strong arm unhorsed the proud Prince Balthazar, and his great mind, too full of honor, took him into mercy, that valiant but ignoble Portingale. Well, heaven is heaven still, and there is nemesis and furies and things called whips, and they sometimes do meet with murderers. They do not always escape. That's some comfort. Aye, and then time steals on and steals and steals till violence leaps forth like thunder rapid in a ball of fire, and so doth bring confusion to them all. Initially I was skeptical that Shakespeare had written them, but there are some beautiful, beautiful moments of lyric poetry in the passage, as well as some bitter irony. Last year, a scholar named Brian Vickers published a very persuasive article arguing for the additional passages being Shakespeare's on the basis of parallels between words and phrases in those passages and Shakespeare's known works. After reading the essay, I was absolutely persuaded that they deserved a second look. And then looking at the things that had kept me up at night, passages that I shook my head at and said, he wouldn't have written that, I realized that the reason these passages got printed the way that they were, the reason these misreadings got pulled into the text was because the compositor was reading something either directly from Shakespeare's pen or very close to it.